Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pat's Pulpit pregame show. My name is Rich Hill, and with me, as always, is my friend Alec Shane. Alec, how you doing?
I'm all right, Rich. It is a cold and blustery day here in New York City. We're coming into Thanksgiving week. It is week 11 in the NFL season, which blows my mind. I don't know where this season has gone so far. Putting the Seahawks game behind us, another NFC West matchup at San Francisco. Tom Brady's first time in Santa Clara, which is crazy. So a lot of fun stuff to get to today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I think that there's going to be a lot to look forward to with the Patriots. I think that they have some monkeys on their back that they want to get rid of. I think that they really want to bury this whole. Has the defense been a complete disaster? Has Patricia lost it? Has Belichick lost the locker room? Have they gotten rid of all their talent? I think that they really need a good defensive performance in order just to put that all to rest and move forward. But before then, there's a lot of games happening right now, and a lot of them are kind of relevant towards the Patriots right now. Right now, the Bengals are losing to the Bills 16-12. I think that the Patriots would love for the Bengals to win in order to gain some separation. The Steelers are beating the Browns 17-9. The Cowboys are crushing the Ravens 24-10. Jaguars are ahead of the Lions 19-16, but that's right where the Lions want them. The Colts are up 21-17 on the Titans, but they were up huge early on, so the Titans are mounting a comeback. The Buccaneers are ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs 18-10 in Arrowhead Stadium, which has a lot of repercussions as far as the AFC playoff picture holds. The Vikings are ahead of the Cardinals 30-17, which is kind of a surprise, and the Giants are ahead of the Bears 22-16. Do any of these games impress you or really catch your attention so far?
Well, periphery, the Giants are always on my periphery. I want them to lose games because I don't want them to make the playoffs ever for as long as the Patriots are in the playoffs as well. Just it still kind of stings. Other than that, the real questions I have, I guess, looking through this slate of games and watching what's gone down today a lot around the league is A, are the Browns going to win a game this year? That's a legitimate question. I genuinely don't know. I don't know what their schedule's like for the rest.
Answer's no.
Okay. All right. So that one's done. The Browns are not going to win. They're going 0-16. The Colts, actually, I watched some highlights. The Colts looked really, really good in the first half. It's now 17-21. Titans are coming back. I don't know what's going on there. The second half collapsed. The Colts are not a good team. The Chiefs, you don't lose an Arrowhead to the Buccaneers. I don't know what's going on there. The game I actually care about the most, in the early slate at least, is the Bengals-Bills game. LaShawn McCoy is now out with a thumb injury, I believe. So the Bengals are well-positioned to come back with that major offensive weapon gone. But the Bengals also lost A.J. Green today to a hamstring injury. He was carted off, I believe. So that's something to monitor going forward. Both those teams are banged up. I'm curious as to see what's going on because the AFC North is an absolute mess right now.
No, I agree. And the Bills right now, as you said, they're dealing with some injuries of their own. As you said, McCoy got hurt. Robert Woods is dealing with an MCL injury. So there's a lot of problems in that game right there. They're very, very weak at wide receiver, and I think Brandon LaFell is the top talent, and Patriots fans know what that means. So I think that, as you said, there are a lot of questions with regards to the AFC North. You have the Steelers who are beating the Browns, which, I mean, honestly, every team should be ahead of the Browns. I don't think that there should be any question. But the Ravens are getting smacked. The Bengals are losing to a not very good Bills team. I think before the season, the Steelers were considered the top competition for the Patriots in the AFC. Are they still a threat to the Patriots, or are they just completely out of sight, out of mind for you?
The Steelers, it's funny. I don't know. I'll watch a little bit of Steelers play, and they'll have snippets of really solid defense and offense playing together with snippets of total incompetence, for lack of a better word. I cannot get a read on that team for the life of me, and I don't know where they are. I really don't. Who's the best team in the AFC North? I'm going to say Pittsburgh right now, just based on what I've seen so far, based on the other teams, but they are not a team that would scare anybody right now. And if I'm the wild card team going into Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, or Baltimore, I have a lot of confidence in beating one of those three teams because I don't think any three of them really have a solid identity yet. And at this point in the season, it kind of is what it is, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that if these games hold up with their current scores right now, the Ravens will fall to 5-5. The Steelers will move up to 5-5. And you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, if they do lose to the Buffalo Bills, they will be down to 3-6-1. But they won't be out of the playoff picture in the AFC North, which is kind of surprising. So there's still a lot to look forward to there. I don't think any of these teams are really good. So I think that we do have to turn our focus towards the AFC West because the AFC South is continued and will always be a joke for as long as those owners are still there. So you have to look towards the AFC West. I think that there's not really much happening right now other than the Chiefs losing to the Buccaneers right now. The Buccaneers kicked that extra point. They're up 19-10. I think that the other games that are happening, you have the Oakland Raiders hosting, quote unquote, the Houston Texans in Mexico City on, I believe it's Monday night. So that'll be a good game. I believe the Broncos have a bye week. But you look at how these teams are playing. The Chiefs, you're losing at home to the Buccaneers. I think that's what people have been lauding them as, the top competition to the Patriots and the AFC, because people believe that they have a more solid or more well-rounded roster than the Raiders do. If the Chiefs fall to the Buccaneers and go to 7-3, we're going to say, I guess, are they in your mind at all? I mean, I think that they should be, but the Patriots have shown that they can handle them. Or do you think that they are a legitimate contender?
The Chiefs, I don't know. It's funny. I think I just have the AFC West on my mind as the Denver Broncos division. Even though they haven't played that well this season, they're still right up there. They're 7-3. They seem to win, going all the way back to last season. They just seem to win games in ridiculous fashion, be it the blocked field goal against the Saints, or I remember, I think it was last year against the Chiefs when like 2 fumbles returned for touchdowns in the last minute. That ended up giving them home field advantage. They just have the football gods on their side. They get bounces a lot. Not in a bad way or good way. That's just football. I understand that. It's not a knock on anybody. But with the Broncos having that kind of ball bouncing luck, combined with their home field advantage, Brady does not play well in Denver. Even though the Raiders are probably the best team in that division, which is still crazy to say, if they were to drop a game tomorrow night in Mexico City, and since it's Mexico, anything goes down there, who knows? I'm actually curious to see how the Texans and Raiders match up tomorrow. I'm still going to give that division to Denver, and Kansas City just doesn't scare me in the playoffs because I don't think they can really come back. If they get down 10, 15 points, they're not built to come back from down 2 scores. So that's a big Achilles heel in my opinion.
No, that's interesting. I mean, this Houston Raiders game could very well be a wild card weekend matchup if, as you say, the Broncos win the division. So there is a lot to look forward to, but we'll have to see how it all plays out this week. The Patriots, if they beat the 49ers, they will remain in first place in the conference, which is exactly where they need to be. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure that the Patriots will be rooting for the Buccaneers to continue to hold their lead over the Chiefs, and they will be rooting for the Texans to defeat the Oakland Raiders, just because that'll help with the tiebreaker with regards to common opponents. So we'll see how that all works out. But for now, let's turn our focus towards the Patriots and the 49ers game. Kickoff is in a little less than an hour. The inactives have been reported. The Patriots will be without tight end Rob Gronkowski. They will be without pass rusher Jabal Sheard and without wide receiver Chris Hogan, who's dealing with a back injury. They have 4 other players that are inactive, including offensive tackle Adrian Waddle, who has always been a healthy scratch this season as the 4th offensive tackle. DJ Foster at running back is also a healthy scratch because he's receiving his redshirt year. And then there are 2 other ones. Woodrow Hamilton is a healthy scratch at defensive tackle. Not too much of a surprise. I think that they want him to redshirt as well. They saw his value, and they're going to keep him in case someone else gets hurt. And then the big one, Justin Coleman, cornerback, who will be also a healthy scratch. This means that Eric Rowe will be back in the lineup. Cyrus Jones will also be there, but Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, those are your guys up there. Are any of these surprises, or how do you think that the Patriots will react and respond due to these inactives?
I'm not going to call Chris Hogan a surprise, but since he played last week against Seattle with the back injury, I thought he'd be okay to come in today against the 49ers. Obviously not. I'd rather rest him for this kind of game and get him healthy down the stretch. I'm okay with it. Gronk we knew about because of that awesome hit he took. Precautions, I'm okay with that. But obviously, the big shocker is that Jabal Sheard didn't even travel. He tweeted from the Celtics game, or Instagram from the Celtics game last night. Which is shocking because I think we all, including you and I, Rich, we had him pegged as one of the big contributors to the team this year, especially with Chandler Jones now in Arizona. You figured he was the guy along the edge when Rob Ninkovich was down and Chris Long came in. He was kind of the edge rusher to prioritize in the offseason. And as a healthy scratch, and he played, 15, 16 snaps last week as well against Seattle. So I don't know if he's being phased out of the defense, but he's clearly not valued the way you and I thought he would be in 2016. It's coach's decision. They know what they're doing. Maybe the emergence of Trey Flowers has something to do with that. But whatever it is, Jabal Sheard could be on his way out in New England. Who knows? The fact that he's not even traveling with the team today isn't even an option definitely surprises me. But the plus side, that does mean Dion Lewis is active, so we could see him on the field today.
Absolutely. I think that Dion Lewis, you have to talk about that as well. But looking at these inactives with Jabal Sheard out, as you said, Trey Flowers will have a larger role in that defense. I think that the Patriots liked what he brought to the table opposite of Rob Ninkovich with Chris Long as that primary number 3 rusher. I still think that Jabal Sheard offers a lot to this defense, but apparently the coaching staff thinks that he needs a little bit of time on the sideline. And fortunately, they get a team like the 49ers where they can just rest him, use him as a healthy scratch, and see what these other players bring to the table. Because the key players that are going to receive opportunities with Jabal Sheard sidelined are going to be Chris Long, Rob Ninkovich, and Trey Flowers. But you also have to think about the depth players like Shea McClellan. Will he get opportunities out there? As well as Barkevious Mingo. Is that someone? Geno Grissom. You have a lot of these players that have been primarily special teams players. They get to face a weaker team in the San Francisco 49ers, but they'll get opportunities to show whether or not they deserve more opportunities down the road. And I honestly, while I am clearly surprised that Jabal Sheard is out, the real question is how he will react to this. And if Jabal Sheard says, you know what, I hate this, I'm done, then so be it. I think that the Patriots are smart to say, I mean, it's never good to lose 3 of your top 5 defensive players from the prior year, including Chandler Jones and Jamie Collins, if Jabal Sheard is just someone who will just be scratched for the rest of the season. But if that's how it's going to be, I understand the idea that you need to see what else you have on the roster, even if I think that it's terrible that you can't find a way to make Sheard contribute.
No, it's true. And, and if that is the case, and if the Patriots were to maybe lose a close one or win a close one or even get blown out, whatever the case may be, and then when the game kicks off in a little less than an hour, that people are already chirping about the Patriots defense and Matt Patricia and his ability to not get the best out of the players. And like you posted at the beginning of you talked about the beginning of the preview, Rich, is that how the flapping, talking gums are all about the Belichick's lost the team, he's lost the locker room. Defense doesn't have that fire. They don't have any teeth. No one really is scared of the Patriots defense. They're not celebrating when they make big tackles. There's just a whole laundry list of items, everything that's wrong with this defense. And if Jabal Sheard adds himself to the list of Chandler Jones and Jamie Collins and is on his way out, I guess it's just more fuel for that fire. So I'm very curious to see what the defense does today, what Matt Patricia's game plan is today, and how the Patriots handle another mobile quarterback in Colin Kaepernick.
No, I agree. I think that part of the concern here is that when you entered the season, the Patriots had a lot of talent on this defense. Chandler Jones is playing like an all-pro right now. Jamie Collins was an all-pro last year. Jabal Sheard was better than Chandler Jones was last year. You got Malcolm Butler, who's playing like an all-pro this year. You have Donta Hightower, Devin McCourty, Patrick Chung. There was something that happened for these players to take a step back. And I don't think that anything has really changed with the scheme. Honestly, watching this defense this year versus last year, they have been playing a weaker slate of quarterbacks. But the quarterbacks that they have been playing, they have used the same scheme that they have used in years past against similar type players. So if they've been playing a mobile quarterback, what they've been doing for the past 2-3 years is not rush them. This is not a surprise. This is not what they've been doing. The issue is that they just have not been executing. And you're seeing them falling apart in man coverage. They're playing too far off of their man, and when it's zone, they're not following all the way across the field. They're not passing off their player in zone. They're just expecting the other player to do it, which, to be fair, if you're doing your job, you want that to happen. But there's a lot of clear miscommunications happening. But true. If you have such a talented defense, the fact that, they were ranked number 1 before last week against the Seahawks. They have the pieces in place. It's just not working. And I think that the sky is not falling. They just need a real swift kick in the butt. And as you said, I think that they need an emotional leader. And I don't think they have one right now. I thought that while Jamie Collins was not a rah-rah guy, he's not someone that would step in the middle of the huddle and tell everyone, follow me, we're going to take this over. Like I feel like Gerard Mayo was. I feel like Teddy Bruschi was. Rodney Harrison, Willie, those players would step up in the middle of the huddle and say, you guys, let's get amped. Let's take this over. In a similar way that Tom Brady would take an offensive huddle over and say, guys, we're just going to make play after play. I don't think they have that player on defense right now. I think that Jamie Collins, he did not lead the huddle, but he would make a huge play. And that would help all of the other players rally around that and say, you know what, this is our defense. We're making a stand. Malcolm Butler does that from time to time, but as a cornerback, playing across from a weak cornerback because Logan Ryan has not been producing, it's hard for him to make those head-turning plays on a series-by-series basis. So you need someone who's at the heart of the defense, whether it's Devin McCourty, whether it's Donta Hightower, Landon Roberts. Someone has to step up, Alan Branch. Someone has to make these plays if someone won't grab the face masks of their teammates and say, we got this, or if someone makes a play to say, you made this. And I don't think that they have someone who's really a true vocal leader that can do that, and someone has to step up.
I completely agree. You can see it on the field. Big plays happen, big tackles happen, and no one's really rallying around. There's not a lot of head slaps, not a lot of encouragement. And again, maybe there just isn't a guy who's like that internally on the team. That's just a possibility. I really thought McCourty would be that guy as that safety. He kind of sees the whole defense. He's one of the captains. He really is a good guy like that, but he's not the one doing it. I don't know. They have to fix it. The good news is I think it's a great opportunity today against a 49ers offense that is already pretty weak and missing their best receiver in Torrey Smith, one of the inactives today, along with Christian Ponder, running back Mike Davis, linebacker Aaron Lynch, tackle John Theus, tight end Jerron Ham, and defensive tackle, former Patriot Chris Jones is an active for the 49ers today. Torrey Smith's a big loss. Aaron Lynch is a good pass rusher. Any of the inactives today, you see it as a major factor one way or another, Rich, for 49ers?
I think losing Torrey Smith is important. While he hasn't been putting up some serious numbers in Chip Kelly's offense, he is a valuable part. I mean, he is a starter for that group. He started all 9 games this season. He only has 243 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, so his production has not been great. I believe that he's currently 5th or 6th on the team in yards from scrimmage, but you see who he's trailing. You have wide receiver Jeremy Curley. He's a former member of the New York Jets, comes out of the slot, has been very productive for them. I think that the Patriots will have their hands full with him. Quinton Patton, he is, I want to say, 3rd or 4th year in the league. He has 345 receiving yards, no touchdowns. He's their number 2 receiver. And then you have a tight end in Vance McDonald, who has 276 receiving yards. He is a fine player. He's not a good one. Although I will say I'm a little nervous that he's going to have one of those Scott Chandler type performances where did this guy come from? I think that that's a very big real possibility, especially with Torrey Smith's sideline. So I think that the problem with the 49ers, I mean, they are still close to full strength. Torrey Smith is a big loss for them, but he's really the only loss on offense. I think that there is just not enough talent on this 49ers offense. I would not be surprised if Jeremy Curley put up 70 yards and a touchdown, but I would be shocked if anyone else made a real big performance. There is Carlos Hyde. I like him at running back. I would expect the Patriots rushing defense, they've been a very, very good unit this year. I expect them to step up in this game. But if they can slow Carlos Hyde as a rusher, he has 443 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. If the Patriots can slow Carlos Hyde, then honestly, I don't see the 49ers having the ability to string together extended drives on offense, same way as they handle other quarterbacks. Colin Kaepernick has completed 53% of his passes this year. That's not good. You look at how the Patriots have handled quarterbacks like Tyrod Taylor. They expect them. They say, you know what, we're going to sell out, stop the run, and we just don't think that you can string together enough completions in order to extend your drives and run 10-play drives. So, again, Patriots are not going to get a lot of pressure on Colin Kaepernick, but they will and should stop the run.
Well, here's my question, I guess, or problem or concern with that strategy, which you're right, that's definitely what's going to happen. But we saw last week against Seattle, what that ended up resulting in were big plays. Patriots got gashed a couple times for big plays. Not only were receivers wide open, like toward the end of the first half, wide open touchdown pass. It took about a minute for the Seahawks to march down the field. The issue is if there's a quarterback like Wilson, like Kaepernick, he is a very mobile guy. He's athletic. He can run around back there. The Patriots seemed vulnerable last week to the big play, the 20-plus yard chunk plays, and you can't ask any cornerback, no matter how good he is, to cover for 5, 6, 7 seconds. So with this lack of pressure, with the active decision not to get to the quarterback, give him the time to throw, and ask him to beat them deep sometimes, is there concern on your end that Kaepernick will be able to duplicate Wilson's success and give the big plays down the field?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, as you said, you can't expect players to cover for more than 2 seconds, 3 seconds at a time before letting someone get open. But I think that part of the problem that happened with the Seahawks was that they just were letting their players get open right out of the snap. I think that they were playing really soft cushions. They were giving up leverage. I thought that Russell Wilson clearly extended drives, but I don't think that there were any real good coverages that were like, you got to tip your cap there. I think that just the players were out of position and they weren't succeeding. So I'm hoping that there was a good week of coaching, because I honestly think that the Patriots had the strategy to succeed. I think that they don't need to rush 4 if they're not planning on it, because they think that they can stop the pass. I think that they don't need to go after a mobile quarterback, because the worst thing you can do, and honestly, I agree with this, I don't think that you have a single person in that defensive front 7 that's going to catch Russell Wilson or Colin Kaepernick in the open field. So let's not give him a reason to leave the pocket. I think that Jamie Collins was possibly the only player athletic enough in that defensive front 7 to go step for step with a quarterback like Russell Wilson or Colin Kaepernick, and he's no longer there. So if I'm looking at this Patriots defensive front, I'm absolutely going to try and keep them in the backfield. I'm not going to give them any reason to try and hit the edge, because there's no one there that I trust to stop them.
So would you suggest then maybe a base nickel defense today and eliminate the spy altogether, or maybe the 5-1 front that you suggested last week against Seattle, something like that?
Yeah, I think that we'll see a lot of the 5-1 front. I think that Landon Roberts kind of fell on his face a little bit last week against the Seahawks. He was not great. I don't think anyone was great on defense against the Seahawks. But I think that you have the Patriots personnel that could work there. Shea McClellan is active. I don't think that he really has had a major role in this defense. But if you look at what the personnel could be, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Alan Branch and Malcolm Brown on the middle of the field, rotating with Vincent Valentine. And then you had Trey Flowers possibly playing the 5 technique or something like that next to those guys. And then you have on the edge, you have your Rob Ninkovich and Chris Long, and those guys can either rush the quarterback, drop into coverage, cover a running back. And then you just have Dante Tower in the heart. And I think that would be the best defensive front that you could have. And honestly, I think that you look at how the Chip Kelly's offense works, you need to have a lighter defense. They're going to try and play 70, 80 offensive calls. And so you're going to need to have your secondary out there, because that's just how it's going to be. But I think that you have that 5-man front of the Patriots, and then you throw 6-man Dante Hightower, and even Patrick Chung can step up at linebacker. I think that will be a good enough defensive front in order to slow the run.
Interesting. How about on the offensive side of the ball? The 49ers defense isn't great. There's not a lot of key marquee players on that defensive unit. No Gronkowski, obviously, dealing with that long injury. No Chris Hogan, so the deep threat isn't there the way it was in weeks past. So if you are the Patriots offense with the return of Dion Lewis, who I don't think will see that much time today, but he'll get some snaps for sure. They'll maybe ease him into the offensive scheme. You're Tom Brady. How are you attacking this 49ers defense today?
Well, you look at this 49ers team, they're ranked 32nd in the NFL in points against. They're allowing 31.5 points per game. So they are not a good squad. I think that last week against the Cardinals was their first really good performance since possibly week 1 against the Rams. I think that they had a stretch of time where they allowed they averaged 45 points allowed per game. It was pretty bad. I think that you see who they have out there. I don't think that there's any really strong players. They have Antoine Bethea, who's an experienced safety. I think that they're going to miss the fact that Navarro Bowman won't be out there. They don't have a lot of good players. Glenn Dorsey is back, and that is someone that Bill Belichick has been highlighting in the center at their nose tackle position. But I think that all that means is that the Patriots are going to say, all right, what is the strength of this 49ers defense? And they have good defensive linemen. They have historically good linebackers, but I don't think that they've really been performing like that. So I think that the Patriots are going to say, all right, well, we'll just avoid the middle of the field. And if I'm Josh McDaniels, I'm going to say, James White, Dion Lewis, this is going to be a big game for you guys. We're going to attack the edges. And honestly, LeGarrette Blount is 2 touchdowns away from tying the franchise record for the most in a single season. I wouldn't be surprised if he got them today. I think that the Patriots are just going to attack the corners, as in the edges of the offensive line. They're going to follow Joe Thuney and Nate Solder to the left side. And I think that they're just going to just grind away, because I think that they will be weaker in the passing game. You can't miss Rob Gronkowski and Chris Hogan and not be weaker in that offensive game, especially because Julian Edelman, I know that last week was a great sign that he is finally back, but I don't know if they can rely on him just yet. And you have Martellus Bennett, who is great, but I think that the reality is that the Patriots are going to have to lean on their running backs, and I think James White in particular, because he's healthy, I think that they're going to have to lean on them to carry that offense in the place of missing the other wide receivers, because I don't think they can quite trust Malcolm Mitchell stepping up for Chris Hogan on that outside spot.
Rich, the last time the Patriots faced up against Chip Kelly, he was still coaching the Eagles. It was in Foxborough. The Eagles were terrible, and they shocked the world, and New England beat them, due mainly to some horrible special teams play. Is there anything about the way Chip Kelly runs his team, his offense, his defense, whatever the case may be, that is some kind of Joe Frazier to Bill Belichick's Muhammad Ali, or is it more just that? Was that game more of an anomaly?
I think that was an anomaly. That was one of the first times in 50 years that a team has allowed 3 return touchdowns, because I believe they had a kick return, a punt return, they had a punt return, a fumble return, and an interception return for touchdown. That was one of the first times in a long time that was allowed to happen. So you can't expect that to go down. But I will say that we talk about this, that opposing coaches often overthink things when they face Bill Belichick. And the coaches that do their best against him are the Tom Coughlins. Those are the coaches that have served alongside him. These are the coaches that have said, all right, now I've seen Bill Belichick in the coaching room, and he's human. We're going to treat him like a human. We're going to play our game, and we're not going to overdo anything. We're just going to play what we play. And I think Chip Kelly kind of falls into that category because he and Belichick go back a long way. Belichick has often reached out to Chip Kelly for advice during the offseason and vice versa. But they talk about strategies and how to run teams. And I think that Chip Kelly has a view of Bill Belichick that is unique, that player or coaches like Adam Gase of the Dolphins or Rex Ryan, these guys don't have. And I think that gives Chip Kelly maybe a degree of calmness and a little bit of certainty when they come together. But if that's not an X factor, I don't know what is. But Alec, if you had to choose one key matchup of this game, what would it be?
I'm actually going to go with James Devlin against whoever crashes through the A gap. I don't know who that's going to be. With they're a little thin around the linebacker position. Maybe Ahmad Brooks will be getting in there. He's an old man. I like the name Tank Carradine, so I'll go with Tank Carradine because I just like the name. It's a good football name. I'll go with James Devlin versus Tank Carradine. He's going to fill in for all the linebackers because, as always, the blueprint to beat New England is you pressure up the middle, you rattle Tom Brady, you don't give him time. And I think what they're going to do, as you pointed to, Rich, they're going to attack the edges. And in order to attack the edges, you have to do a lot of zone blocks. You got to pull your guards. You got to pull your tackles a little bit. And that can sometimes allow a rusher to run free. So Devlin's got to be able to pick up the slack there and allow Blunt or White or Lewis, whoever it is, to get the edge and cut to the outside, go off tackle. So James Devlin, big game from you today, buddy.
Well, he has been playing well, so there's a lot of hope for that. My X factor of the game will be the defensive front seven, but my key matchup will be looking at Trey Flowers versus Joe Staley. I think that is a very good matchup. Staley is the longtime left tackle of the 49ers. Trey Flowers will be getting his second start, most likely against this 49ers team, second start in a row. So if Trey Flowers can step up and show that he has been able to do what the coaches ask for, that he deserves the starting role, I think that this has been a long time coming, but this will be the best test for him. I think that while we look at this 49ers team and say that they don't have too much talent on it, Joe Staley is undeniably a top 5 offensive tackle in the league. So this will be a really good test for him. And I don't know if Trey Flowers will really be going all out on Colin Kaepernick, but he will have to play a very good game in order to stop the run and also to contain Colin Kaepernick and maybe even generate a pressure or two on some of the longer plays. So that's my matchup. But you have any other thoughts on this game before we move into predictions?
No, let's get right to it. Again, I think that the Niners don't have the defensive personnel to beat the Patriots the way that everyone always beats the Patriots. I don't think they have that ability with the talent level and the scheming. It is Chip Kelly, so you can always factor it in. And any given Sunday, it's a West Coast trip that can mess with your internal clock. But if the Patriots lose this one, I'm hoping it's because they just don't show up as opposed to getting out executed. However, we'll talk about that in our predictions. Last week, we both had the Patriots winning. They did not do so, so we're both getting the big fat 0 for last week. Boom. So the week before that, you were the one who was predicting first, so it's still your game. Go for it.
All right. So the Patriots right now, they are the favorite over the 49ers, anywhere between 12 points to 14 points. And I would not be surprised if that's what happened. The Patriots have covered the last 3 times that they have been a 2-touchdown favorite or more. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots won by honestly 15 to 20 points. So I'm going to say that the Patriots, at the end of the day, they're going to win this one 35-17.
35-17. All right, Rich, I like it. Yeah, I think this is basically what happens today in about half an hour, I think will determine how the rest of the season goes. The Patriots just lost at home. They got hit in the mouth a little bit. They got smacked around. They were not the better team on the day. There were plenty of losses you can point to over the years. The Patriots were actually the better team, and just a couple bounces happened that caused them to drop a game. But Seattle came in, imposed his will, and just beat up the Patriots. And now they have a chance to right the ship against an inferior team on the road, another mobile quarterback, and it's their defense's chance to see what happens when they get smacked around and get knocked down. If they continue to play very soft, if they keep it close, if there's no attitude, no edge, that could bode poorly down the stretch. And I don't think Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia McDaniels will allow that to happen. So I said the Patriots come out. They come out mad. They come out fired up. I think Brady knows this is the only stadium he hasn't won in yet. That definitely is going to stick with him in some capacity. I think this is the game the Patriots really get up off the schneid. I'm not going to say it's that close. I'm actually going to go 38-16 Patriots.
You just totally snuck around me on that one.
I did. I prices righted you. That's exactly what I did.
Well, hopefully this will be a great game. The Patriots need a good outing after last week's lackluster performance on defense. 49ers should be a very good cure for it. We'll have more information on patspulpit.com over the course of the game and afterwards for all the post-game coverage. Alec and I will also have a podcast on Tuesday. Alec, do you have any final thoughts on this game?
This is the last podcast or preview before Thanksgiving, so everyone enjoy the game. And if you don't listen to our podcast, listen to it, but have a happy holiday, everyone.
Absolutely. Alec, have a good one.
See you, bud.